So, with the release of Marvel's Thunderbolts, that closes out the Marvel Phase 5 film aspect of Phase 5 of Marvel. They still have Ironheart coming out next month, wrapping up the TV side, but this is it for Marvel Phase 5 in theaters. I'm going to rank all 6 films from worst to best. My name is Max Sinberg. Welcome back, everyone, to Max Talks Movies. If you're new, guys, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I do movie, TV show reviews, out of theater reactions, box office breakdown shows, and movie franchise rankings like these. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on Marvel Phase 5 films? Did you think this was a good phase, bad phase? What's your ranking? This is just my ranking, not the right ranking. Let me know your ranking down in the comments section down below. Also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. That's how you support this channel. So last time, I think it was Marvel Phase 4, I did do a full ranking of both TV and movies together. But I don't really love ranking shows and movies. So because Ironheart is coming out next month, when Ironheart finishes up, I will do a full ranking of Marvel Phase 5 TV shows. But because Thunderbolts is the final film in Phase 5, because again, Fantastic Four is kickstarting Phase 6 for the MCU, I am here to stop and rank all 6 films of Marvel Phase 5. So without further ado, let's get it in. Before I start this ranking, excuse me, I have done full-fledged reviews for each of these movies on the channel, including spoiler reviews for many of them. So definitely, again, keep an outlook for that because I'm not going to go as deep as I probably would in a full-fledged review. So let's get started with Marvel Phase 5. And starting out for me, guys, at number 6 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This was a huge disaster for Marvel. And the sad part about this movie now, looking back, is the only thing, in my opinion, that's at all decent is Kang. Jonathan Majors, whatever you want to say about him personally, you certainly have the right to say that. I will say this. I'm someone who loved and still loves Jonathan Majors, the actor. He's a phenomenal actor. And while his time in the MCU was very brief, he definitely left his mark. And he was easily the best part about this movie. But for me, I was a fan of the first Ant-Man. I don't really love the second Ant-Man. It's not totally my cup of tea, but both Ant-Man films before this had so much energy, life to them, a lot of comedy. And I'm all cool with a trilogy ending on such a drastic turn as pertains to tone and story, because obviously the first 2 Ant-Man films were very small scale as pertains to really the rest of the MCU. And this is introducing our first full look at Kang the Conqueror in the MCU, as opposed to be the first big bad. And this was extremely a disappointing watch when you watch it now or when I did it back in the theaters a couple years ago. I love Kathryn Newton. I still can't believe her as Cassie Lang just did not really work out in this movie. I have like the returning cast. I really liked Michelle Pfeiffer, Shanna Van Dyne, but this was the least interesting Scott Lang has ever been in the MCU. Just him and Hope really have nothing going on from an arc perspective at all in this film, as well as Hank. They just all seem stuck in another big MCU film instead of feeling like a true Ant-Man film. It just feels like a thing to set up other things. And MODOK did not turn out very well. This movie's a mess from a CGI. It just looks so fake. And the MCU, yes, has a lot of CGI sets and things like that, but this just never felt tangible or real. The CGI is pretty bad. This, for me, was a total disaster for Phase 5. Another disaster for Phase 5 is my number 5 movie on this list, and that is, before I make sure, is The Marvels. I did not like the first Captain Marvel. While I like this movie, I guess a scooch more. It's really only because I'm a big fan of Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel. I think she is the perfect energy boost if you're thinking about like a teen Avenger and the young Avengers, she's someone you think of so far in the MCU. She's a very likable character. But I just did not enjoy this film. And I was excited for it because Nia DaCosta, who directed the 2021 version of Candyman, I was excited for her to get this opportunity. I loved Monica Rambeau in The Marvels. But this is one of the more forgettable MCU films. It's one I never want to rewatch since its release. I saw it once in theaters and just did not enjoy myself, honestly. There was some fun, as I said, This movie has a little bit more energy to it than Quantumania. So if I had to rewatch one, I would probably rewatch Marvels over Quantumania. That's kind of where I drew the line there. And I love Brie Larson as an actress. She just is not a great fit as this character in her two solo films. Um, and the dynamic was missing something. It was a little bit flat. The whole movie rests on the shoulders of this three-person dynamic between Monica, Carol, and Miss Marvel and Kamala, but something was just missing from the dynamic perspective. The villain is really bad. Dar-Benn's one of the weakest villains we've gotten so far in the MCU. And then Nick Fury, coming right off of an awful Secret Invasion, his character acts like nothing even happened in that show. This is another movie that also sets up a lot of things that have not been even close to being even close to being answered so far. So the Marvels for me is another big swing and a miss for Phase 5 of the MCU. Moving up to number 4 is a movie that came out this year, which was Captain America: Brave New World. And this was an extremely disappointing film. Even though I didn't love The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it did get me excited for more things to do with Bucky and Sam. And the fact that Sam got his first Captain America solo film also made a lot of sense. I was also very excited that I was sad when William Hurt died, that he couldn't play Thaddeus Ross in this movie, but the fact that they recasted it to Harrison Ford is one of my favorite actors of all time. He is simply the best part of this movie. Another part that I respect about this film is the fact that it is going for a very much Winter Soldier-esque tone. It's taken the superhero genre itself much more seriously in this movie, which I think was a breath of fresh air for the MCU after so many over-the-top and ridiculous entries into the franchise. This one kind of grounded into a little bit more serious level. But this movie that had so many reshoots, and you can feel it watching the film. You can really feel Giancarlo Esposito's addition to the film feels like they shot that a couple months ago, and they're trying to rewrite so much of his stuff around the things they already shot. And when you're thinking that during a movie, that's not a good sign. Tim Blake Nelson, who I love a lot, just did not buy him at his return as Samuel Stearns. The look of the leader was not very strong here. And I don't care. I don't think, again, nothing against Danny Ramirez. I just don't love Joaquin Torres as a character. The comedy in this movie was a big miss. My theater never laughed while watching this movie, and I just found it more annoying than funny when they went for the actual comedy. And I think there was some really good heart in there with Isaiah's character, but they kind of left him on the sidelines for big portions of the movie. And my biggest problem for me from a Sam perspective was the fact that this didn't let him be Sam. They just kind of wrote him just like to be another Captain America. But the whole point of this movie is trying to say is that Sam Wilson is not Steve Rogers, but they really wrote the character to be exactly the same. He loses all of his comedy and energy to him. I think if they're going to write Sam moving forward, he needs to be back to the old Sam that we saw previously in the MCU. So coming up next on this list are now movies that I really like as we're heading into our top three movies that I really like think are great to fantastic movies after some three kind of not so great movies. And number 3 for me is Thunderbolts, a really good addition to the MCU. I guess the Suicide Squad version for Marvel. But this movie had a lot more serious tone than I was expecting. I was just expecting a dumb, fun, Groot movie based on what the trailers were. But this movie has a lot to say about mental health, grieving, depression. And I was really shocked how moved I was by the film. Obviously, the entire cast has great chemistry together, but it's really led by another phenomenal performance by my favorite actress working today, Florence Pugh, who is doing great work both on the very small screen and indie films and stuff, and also doing it on the big Marvel films. And she really brings that gravitas to this movie when she's having an amazing one-on-one scene where she's kind of breaking down her situation to her father, played by David Harbour. And it's a very emotionally moving scene. But also moving is her dynamic with Bob. Really, that Bob is someone who struggled in his life. And the Bob Yelena dynamic was honestly one of my favorite parts of the film. But I love David Harbour. His comedy was perfect for this movie. Is Wyatt Russell, Sebastian Stan. They're all pretty awesome in this film. Again, and the way they used the mental health element, again, made it a lot stronger of a film, in my opinion. I will say we are kind of stuck on this death trap for too long, I would say, in the first 2 acts of the movie. It takes a little bit too long for this to happen. I do think they accomplish what they do in the third act also a bit just too quickly. They try to center focus Florence Pugh's character a lot in the third act and her trying to save Bob. I would have liked to see everyone else kind of fight their demons in order to save Bob towards the third act of the movie. So that is my thoughts on Thunderbolts. Full review and spoiler review already up on the channel. Coming in at number 2 for me is Deadpool and Wolverine, a fantastic reintroduction to both Deadpool, introducing Deadpool back into the MCU, and as well as bringing back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I've seen this movie 3 or 4 times now. I love it every single time. I think it's probably the funniest MCU film, but it also has a lot of heart in there with the fact that Logan, this version of Logan, was on a planet where he let his entire universe down, and now he's given the second chance to kind of save Wade's universe. The action is phenomenal. The cameos are tons of fun. It's a very quotable movie. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie where after I saw it once, I could go back and already re-quote most of the entire film. I love the crass humor. I love the X-Men references. It's just a blast of a movie. It's exactly a movie. It's exactly the movie that the MCU needed. And again, Deadpool is one of the best characters of the MCU for a reason. I love the gory action. It is a phenomenal time, both in the theater and at home. I love Deadpool and Wolverine. And coming in number 1 for me is, but all these my top movies are in my top 10 MCU films, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I was not, again, honest, I'm still not a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's one of the more disappointing sequels, in my opinion. It's not like it's a bad movie. I just want a lot more out of it because I adore the first Guardians so much. And the fact that James Gunn, this was going to be his last Marvel film, didn't know which of the Guardians would make this out alive, but really, Rocket became a top 3 MCU character to me after the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. The fact that this third one was basically a rocket-centered film. I already knew I was probably going to like it, but I was so emotionally into this movie because of Rocket's origin story, which is pretty hard to watch at times because it's a lot of animals, but it's really heartbreaking, heartwarming, hopeful, all of those things. The Lila and Rocket relationship, again, is really terrific in this film. But the whole Guardians themselves, getting Gamora back on track, the comedy is there, but this movie packs so much emotion and heart. And I was just not expecting that walking in, because this is at times seen as just a silly comedy-centered franchise, but it really packs such an emotional punch. We were really unsure of everyone's safety throughout the entire film. And while, yes, most of them make it out of this movie, it's still a movie that you really don't know who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. But as I said, the Rocket story is there, a very villainous high evolutionary who I really, really enjoyed as well in this movie. I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I was shocked how much I loved it when I saw it, and I've rewatched it 4 or 5 times since then. This is a fantastic Guardians of the Galaxy and a perfect send-off for James Gunn, who went from Marvel. Now he is at DC. What is your ranking of Marvel Phase 5? Let me know in the comment section down below. I will be back once Ironheart is done on Disney+. I will rank all of the Marvel Phase 5 TV shows. So stay tuned for that next month. More reviews and rankings coming to the channel soon. I'll see you then.